Hello. This month I've been looking at the common habits that can hold us back in our career, and I'm delighted to be joined by Yasmeen Majid to discuss her experience of this with me. So, hello, Yasmeen, and thank you for your time. How are you?
Hi, David. Doing really well, thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Yasmeen, you're currently the Global Business Change Director for Cloud Enterprise Solutions at ATOS, a role which builds on 30 years of large-scale business transformation roles in startups such as Multimap through to large companies such as Aviva, Vodafone, Direct Line, Ladbrokes, and Microsoft, and a number of voluntary roles in education and in supporting women in telecoms and technology. So, a career to date that will have been witness to many leaders' good and bad habits. So, thank you for being here today to share some of those insights with us.
Okay.
In my blog this month, I look at two books on common habits that hold us back. One, which is written by Marshall Goldsmith, called What Got You Here Won't Got You There. And a second book he wrote with Sally Helgeson, called How Women Rise. And that was more focused on the habits that they identified in women clients in terms of coaching that potentially could hold them back in their careers. And I know you've read that book, Yasmin. I wonder whether you could share your reflections on it with us, if you would.
Yeah, happy to do that, David. I've actually read both books, and I found the second one a really interesting progression from the first. And I have to say, in the second book, so much rang true for me. It was really close to home, and I know that I'd experienced a lot of those behaviors. And in terms of what the book did for me, it reminded me of the behaviors, and it explained where they came from, and that helped me to understood them more so. And I know I've sought to address these over the years. I think I've made some headway, but I still have a lot of ways to go. But I found it really helpful.
Brilliant, that's great to hear. And could you share with us some of the habits that you have let go of during your career and why you did so?
Sure. So, first and foremost, I think in terms of career, I've learned to be more forthright in saying what I'm interested in, where I want to go. I think before I used to sit back, do good work, and get an offer here, there, a lot of horizontal expansion to my role. But if I wanted to make progress, I needed to speak up and tell people what I wanted. I wasn't doing that. So I've learned to do that. What else? I've learned to be more concise. I found that whereas sometimes I want to tell the whole story and build it for people, it's best to start with some bullets and then take it from there and adapt to what your audience is interested in hearing. I think that's been really helpful in capturing people's attention, especially at more senior levels. What else? Ruminating. Oh, that was a favorite chapter. You do something wrong and you keep going over it and over it and over it. Um, it's something that I could do, but I've learned not to do. And when I think I'm going there, I shake myself and tell myself to move on. So that's been really helpful. And finally, when it comes to achievements, I think in the past I had a real reticence about coming across as being full of myself, bragging, and so on. And what I've learned over the years is to take and celebrate my achievements, those of my team as well, but not stand behind the team, to stand beside and in front of the team that I'm leading. So those are the key lessons from the book that I aligned with, David, and the behaviors behind them. It was just too close to home.
Thank you for that, and thank you for sharing them. And they do pick up on a number of the classic habits that they identify in the book. And the book picks up on the fact that these habits seem to have come around more for women by nature of the fact that they're women working in what was predominantly a male environment, and therefore manifest in terms of how they behave. What was your experience of that? Does that reflect in terms of your work experience?
Well, it's interesting. When I read the first book, that was geared more to men, I would say, and I could not relate to it as well. So I definitely say the second book was more aligned with my experience. I've spent the majority of my life working in tech and tech-driven companies, where it has been a predominantly male environment, and I've rather than trying to become one of the men, what I've done is learn to adapt some of the behaviors that we hear about to exist more successfully within that male environment. So it's rather than becoming like them, it's been a way to be myself within that environment in a way that I feel I can flourish.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. And finally, a final question. How have you managed to use the insight that you've learned from identifying these habits and working on them to help you lead other people?
Okay, well, at this point in my career, I'm very strong and big on leading by example. And when I find myself exhibiting one of these behaviors, I catch myself because I don't want to lead by example and have that example set for others that I'm working with or for, or people who are reporting into me. So it certainly reminded me to be a better leader in terms of being that role model. I think it's also enabled me to empower my people even more so, not striving for perfection, striving for good enough so you can get things done. And on a practical front, it's enabled me to get more things done in less time and get more in move more in the direction of where I want to go. So being more forthright about getting there has enabled me to achieve that more quickly. I think that would be it.
No, thank you for that. That's fantastic. And thank you very much for sharing your insights and taking your time to bring it to life for us, if you like. So I'm really grateful for that, Yasmeen. Thank you.
Thanks very much, David. It's been a pleasure.
I hope you've all enjoyed listening to Yasmeen and I talk about the common habits that can hold you back. As always, if you've got any questions that are raised by this topic or any other questions on coaching, then please do get in touch and I'll be delighted to answer them.